Good afternoon. My name is Kateryna Odarchenko, and today we continue our series of analytical work. And on conclusion, we take latest Ukrainian sociological research and pollsters' work and analyze together with team of Institute for Democracy and Development, which is non-profit registered in Ukraine and in the United States, and with SIC Group LLC team, main point and main patterns in Ukrainian society, which can be useful for think tank work, work of political scientists here in United States. So today we will talk with you about patriotism, and we will analyze research of patriotism in Ukraine. We will moving forward with main issues from this research. It was research from summer, more than 5,000 people as respondents taking part, 700 of respondents, it's people who are refugees in Ukraine, so who moved from their region, and 7,500 it's people who are now not in Ukraine but outside of Ukraine. So as you can see, margin for people who are refugees in Europe and other countries, it's more than margin for Ukraine, but still we will analyze the main trends, so I hope that it will be interesting. So first question of patriotism, it's language, and of course many people ask me about language. Why some people in Ukraine use Russian language? So here in dynamic we can see that in 2012, only 41% of people use Ukrainian at home. And in 2023, 59% of people use Ukrainian, 31% use Ukrainian and Russian at home. So as you can see, language became one of the main pattern of patriotism. And after annexion of Crimea, it's more and more people use Ukrainian language as understanding of patriotism, and as we can see, people trying to use both Ukrainian and Russian, who it's like hard to use only Ukrainian, and it became trend not only on Western Ukraine, which historically more using Ukrainian language, but also for people who move from Eastern Ukraine and Southern Ukraine, where people use Russian language. I think that it's interesting also to correlate this point with understanding of pro-European and pro-Western course of our country. Before, some people was not sure that we need to join NATO, that we need to join the European Union, and some people before full-scale invasion also understand that, you know, like strong leader like Stalin is good model of leadership, because they have nostalgia for Soviet Union and so on and so forth. So that's why now they have other opinion, and we will see also this in dynamics on the next slide. So if we talk about emotion and emotion which connect with patriotism, 74% of people see like they have honor to be Ukrainian, and honor to be Ukrainian, and also 43% feel sad that when they thinking about Ukraine. So as you can see, also 74% honor about Ukraine. And it's interesting that people who starting to use Ukrainian language also feel more honor for Ukraine than people who still use Russian language. So here you can see this correlation. And also, if we talk about patterns, what is patriotism in action? What is patriotism in action? We see that it's be volunteer and give money to donate. No, obviously makes sense to army. To use Ukrainian, 35%. To be in army, to serve in army, 32%. 33% the same, it's be in Ukraine when war already in Ukraine, and 31% work in Ukraine, do business in Ukraine, 27 to be interested in history in Ukraine. But what is interesting, only 13% understand that third sector work, that work for non-profits, like civil sector work, it's patriotism. It's very weird because like donation and volunteering, it's also third sector work, but only 13% understand that it's patriotism. It's very interesting. I guess that we're still on vector of democracy development and development of third sector. So that's why only 13% people understand that it's also patriotism. It's interesting point. Also, as you can see, if we said about serving in army, it's the same for all ages. So for all ages, which also interesting. One more interesting question, if we're thinking about future political process in Ukraine. So it's a question of what can unite and reunite. So the main point of uniting is victory of Ukrainian army, it's rebuilding of Ukraine, it's helping each other, and it's economical growth. After that, it's language, joining NATO, and only 15% it's uniting of politicians. So as you can see, political question at joining NATO and united, it's politician not so important as completely win of Ukrainian army. And main reuniting, it's political conflict, 62%. It's also like fights and allegations till each other maybe people use here political conflict and also conflict between people, economical crisis 35%, like reuniting, and question that it will be no development of Ukraine. 21% said that reuniting issues, it's that mostly a lot of Ukrainians go abroad, and 20% that will be reunited if we don't choose join European Union and NATO. I think it's the same audience which thinks that it's uniting question. But one more issue that here, 62% that political conflict is reuniting. I guess that it's a result that all, as political manager, I can tell you that all political parties before trying to use reuniting questions before that. You pro-Russian politician, we pro-European politician. You with like you corruptioner, I'm not corruptioner. So it's obviously very common term for all political processes, but here you see that Ukrainians don't trust politicians, and they also don't understand how institutions might work, I guess. So that's why they still hate and don't trust politicians, but they believe in victory of army, and they trust people who in army. So if you're interested in knowing more, you can listen my lecture for Marshall Institute, Marshall University half year ago, and you can analyze also in dynamics this issue, but it's pretty interesting. It's people who in Ukraine mostly think that only a victory of our army can unite Ukraine, and it's also not so pretty different between refugees and people in Ukraine if we analyze that. If we are talking about understanding of each other, we see that mostly people kind to each other if we talk about inner refugees, but people have cold relationship and cold understanding of people who now live on occupied region, which occupied for a long time like people who live in occupied part of Donetsk and Luhansk region and occupied Crimea. So maybe people understand that they collaborate with Russia. So it's also interesting. Also, people quite kind to women who go outside of country with kids. Not so kind to people who come outside of country without kids. People quite skeptical to men who go outside of country without kids. So 50% of this respondents negative or not warm, like cold understanding of these people. It's also important for future political process and of analyzing of people who must be in parliament, who do what when war was, and so on and so forth. Please remember this result. And on final, I will give to you understanding how people see like stock or development of Ukraine. As you can see, mostly people see that Ukraine will be developed, and only less than 20% think that it will be stuck, no, not development. But in what category it will be stuck and development? So stuck will be in the question as respondents think of medicine, of higher education, of one more issue that in question, sell or not sell Ukrainian land to foreigners. It was very big question, and we do big analysis about that, how people understand them and their own property, their land, and who can buy this land. It was connected with Ukrainian land reform, but and that it will be stuck in level of income. But people see development in free economy in Ukraine, in more democracy for Ukraine, and more freedom of press in Ukraine. So here they see development and they believe in this development. So as you can see, people want democracy development, but as I can analyze from this respondent that people still haven't correlation between strong institutions, strong political parties, people with values, and the development of country, which I think needed to work more. You also can see that people became more patriotic, and main patterns of this patriotism as understanding as language, serving in army, or donation and volunteer work for Ukrainian victory. My name is Kateryna Odarchenko, and we do this project together with SIC Group LLC and non-profit Institute for Democracy and Development. And we're ready to cooperate with you on analysis. And please donate to our work, to our non-profit in Ukraine or in the United States. If this work is interesting for you, it's will be very helpful and help us to continue this work. Thank you so much.